Good. Yeah, I only have like the slide. I'm fairly new to this, so I don't have like a standard thing to go on. Oh well, it's mostly gonna be about music anyway, so it's not like I have like anything like visual to show. Okay. So hello, my name is Mads. As you can see, that's my real name. In the VM community, I go as Kawasumi. I'm currently in the process of taking an undergraduate in electronic music and sound design. Uh, and by the way, I stutter a bit, so if I'm stuttering, that's that's just something I do normally. So please don't mind that. And also you'll see my notes um, now and again. Okay. So the thing I want to go over is why is music important? I don't think I really have to explain why music is important in different kinds of like interactive media. But one of the things that I really want to touch on is why it's more important into when we talk about visual novels in terms of more interactive games. You see, when you are in a more interactive game, you can really go off with like mostly atmosphere. Like if you take, for example, horror games, you mostly actually only need like atmosphere because you go through like a forest and you kind of want this forest to actually like feel like a forest. So you want like a lot of like forest sounds and stuff like that. You don't really want like some kind of like tune playing over it. Whereas when we have uh, um, a visual novel, you have like sprites and you have like backgrounds and like most like and still they are mostly like static and they're like showing and there are more like emphasis on emotions and stuff. And this is where I feel that like music is very important in comparison to other games, simply because that like it's music is basically very good to like draw out an special like atmosphere or like a specific like feel that you want from it, and and which is also something that you of course want to get out via your writing. So you basically want the music to enhance that. So that's one of the things. The other thing is that you also like we I think that a lot of people don't think about how much music is actually like sitting in our brains. Like, you know, a lot of like pop musicians, for example, are trained in writing music that sits like in your brain for days and weeks, and like you always remember it after you hear it. Like if you're I guess most people here have tried to have a song getting like stuck in your brain. Also, songs that you maybe necessarily don't like, but it still has this catch, which we call a hook. A hook is basically is basically a sound or a melody or something that gets stuck in your head. Actually, I have a link that I'm gonna post in the Discord, and you can just like hear it. You can yeah, you can hear it in the background while I talk, or you can wait till after. But yeah, this is just something that I due to like something that I categorize as a good hook. Remember that both like hook and catchiness is a really subjective. Again, the people that are writing pop songs know how you write a catch that that like sits in with like most people. And what I want to say is that you basically wanna do the same when you write like visual novel, when you like write music for visual novels. And yeah, I talked a little about before about the difference between making like music for more interactive games, or like other games that isn't visual novel based, and like isn't like so heavily based on like the story, where you actually both basically just need to like create some sort of like atmosphere where you don't necessarily need like music to enhance the experience. Also, you kind of like need something to be there in a game like that, where you basically like you need a jukebox to like play the music. You need something that the player can see that plays the music that you don't necessarily need in a visual novel. But what can we learn from interactive games? One of the things that I've seen from on visual novels, I think I need to clarify that I mostly play Japanese visual novels, mostly because that there are so many of them out there. So I basically need to go through those first. So that's mainly where I'm taking like my views on like the people that are making music for visual novels in general. And here, for what I've seen, there is a lot of composers. A good example would be the new Doom game that got released last year, which was where the soundtrack was made by Nick Gordon. And here he used this like a new thing, or relatively new thing. It's actually not that new, but it hasn't been used that much actually. Sadly, I think it's basically some kind of like sound morphing, where you have a track that has like different dynamics, like in terms of like now there's like a high tension, and now there is like a really like slow tension, and in Doom it's like you're basically walking around between different points where there is a shift in in dynamics, from like a really like slow dynamic, like maybe a monster's gonna pop up in a while, and sometimes you're in a spot where you like take some like a kind of like objective and so on, and a lot of like people like monsters spawn, and you gotta like kill them all, and they basically have a cue which is programmed into, so and they have it so the soundtrack flows seamlessly into a much higher tension part of the track. I think that visual novels could actually benefit a lot from that. Of course, it goes a little bit slower, but in terms of immersion, I feel that that it's something that a lot of people like haven't tried to explore. Mainly because I've seen in a lot of visual novels where like they have like this loop that's around 1 or 2 minutes, which have a tendency to just like in the middle of like the transition of the scenes, it just stops. Like it's there is nothing where it goes from like a really like low tension moment to a high tension moment, or a dramatic moment to like a more somber moment where like nothing dramatic is really happening. And I feel we can take a lot from that. I think we could maybe like, it just feels like sometimes that a lot of visual novel music is basically like a track that has been made and like pulled over, and it just feels sort of like not really integrated into the overall pace. Of course, it's still relevant to the story, and for the most part, it like fits with the story. For example, I think one of the most funny examples I have is I was reading via a little bit of a VM called Innocent Bullet. I don't know if this I haven't actually finished it yet, so I don't know if this is actually the meaning, but when it comes to the whole like feel of how you want to get you want to have your VN to have, you lost my train of thought there. it's okay. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start over. So the feel of like of visual novels and in general is very is something you wanna achieve correctly. And one of the more funny examples I have from that is like played a VM called Innocent Bullet. And it's basically like the start of it is where it has like this part where the protagonist, he wakes up and there's like these huge monsters trying to destroy humanity, and you get like this huge like dramatic where he's like, I'm gonna die, and then suddenly like two of the main heroines show up, and when they show up in this very in this very seemingly dystopian world, you get this song, and you're suddenly aware of that maybe this VN isn't as serious as it's giving out. Again, I think this is a very fun little thing that you can hear in the music, that it's like it starts off with this very dystopian description of the city that's in shambles and people are dying and stuff, and then you get like this totally like upbeat trance techno track that's kind of resembling that this is maybe not as like serious, and yeah. I think that it's important to consider that in terms of like what like feel you want to have in your VN. And I think it's quite good to actually like spice it up a little. Like for example, if you do that, and you want to like give off that this is maybe like a little bit more lighthearted, even though the subject matter is quite like either like deep or about like a dystopian future or something. Yeah. I don't know how much time. Okay. Yeah. I think the last thing I want to go into now is that I've noticed some trends I want to discuss about like visual novels, visual novel music, and I kind of want to talk about like some of the pitfalls I feel like a lot of people that like compose music for visual novels fall into. You see a lot of course, visual novels are a very small niche of the gaming industry, and that means that not a lot of people have a lot of budget to work with. This also means that the people that you're hiring to actually make like make music for you mostly do it on computer. And like me, I know a little bit of like music theory, and I know like probably a lot of people like that are actually making this music maybe like know a little. But it's funny because we're in a day and age now where you actually don't need to know any like actual like music theory and how like music like works on like when you're not making it on your computer to actually make music. And that's both good and bad, because the problem is that when you're making a visual novel, you also sometimes want music that resembles something that's played on real instruments. This is a huge pitfall from what I've heard. Actually, the fun part is that the biggest offender of this is actually Katawa Shoujo. Katawa Shoujo has, if my own, this is of course my own opinion. I know a lot of people actually love the soundtrack, but when I look at it from a standpoint as someone who like makes music as like a hobby, as something I love, also something I study now, their actual quality of the of the instruments is frankly terrible. We're because mainly because we're basically at the point now where you can get you can get software that is able to emulate different kinds of like real instruments perfectly. Almost, it's never going to be the same. Except one of the examples I have is that we have so-called the thing that's called velocity, which is where you have like dynamics. That's something like when you have a piano, you can like press like you press what's that called? What's that called in English? Well, you press a note and like it's gonna get higher the harder you press. This is something that can be emulated in the software, but the problem is that a lot of people forget to do it. So you end up with a track that is completely undynamic. That means that everything is the same, like the same in terms of volume. This is actually a problem because it's one of the things that makes it like sound really mechanic, and also some of the things that really get kind of gives off that this is actually this is actually like a fake, like this is not like real instruments. It's funny because like a lot of people actually feel a little bit of like discomfort. I know that I did because I could hear like in the when I played Kawasumi Shorter, for example, I could hear that this was like this sounded like mechanical. This sounded like this was not like this was not a real guitar, and I could hear that, and that for me makes it fall in the thing you call the uncanny valley, where it's like you can hear what it is, but it doesn't really sound like that. Like it's not close enough, basically. But it's almost there. But it sounds weird, and you can just hear all too well that it's obviously like not a real guitar. Also, one thing is one thing I pretty much touched on before, which was the thing with no hook. This is especially this is something that especially the background music that people tend to use in more like summer moments or like more like slice of life moments where people are like I don't know, like going home from school or going to their job or something. A lot of these like background music completely misses the hook. Like there is like, of course, it doesn't need to be like the most epic thing ever. It needs to be like somewhat like somber, and like you need to catch the right atmosphere. But it's like there's still nothing that makes you remember that scene. Like, and even though it's not like the most likely not the most important scene, it's still good to have your player, the one that's playing your game. You want them to have, you kind of want them to have to have them with you every step of the way. And also, this one last thing. I can see I'm almost done now. One last thing. Please don't use I know a lot of people have like composers and stuff, so I think this is like I don't think I really need to say this, but I'm gonna do anyway. Please don't use like music that has been put out online to be used for commercial free use. If you're making like a freeware indie game, something for your free time, like please don't go and like play a simple tune on your piano or something instead. I mean, because as soon as you go in and you hear a piece of music that you have heard in a YouTube video or in another game, or it immediately, like, you immediately think of that. Like you basically take something where you want the track to actually give out immersion, and you to your specific work, and you actually take that and you move the viewer or the player like out of that immersion, because they immediately get like they immediately get association to something else. And I think that was that.
Yeah, right on, exactly on time. Amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. So, if you guys have any questions, just bring them up. Oh, people are seeing our chat. Okay, what advice would you have for looking for royalty-free music for a freeware game?
My advice would be just don't. Or I can understand if you don't have the budget to hire a composer. I know that like if I find a project that I'm like really like hyped for, if someone like takes a pitch for me that I really like, then I would probably, and it's like a free thing, like nobody's gonna like profit off it. I would like to do it as a like a hobby project. Of course, that's gonna do something with the whole like output thing. I'm actually like really bad with like hobby projects because I'm better with like with deadlines, to be honest, because I really need like some kind of like structure, because or else I'm just gonna like waste my time away, to be honest. That's not good. So yeah, as there was said in the other speech before, deadlines is important. How much creative liberty do I like to have? That's a good question, actually. Like, of course, you need to have enough liberty so you can actually like make, because you're of course making the track as you wanted it to hear, and you wanting it to like refer to the piece that you're writing it to, and I think that's actually the only like creative liberty I want to have. So it's basically like you give me like, if you have like the whole thing already done, for example, and you like give the game with like the backgrounds and the story, and then it will be cool to actually have the creative liberty to actually make it like how you imagine like this scene would like sound, so to say. Yeah. Roughly how long does it take to complete a track? That's very it really depends on ideas, to be honest. I've been in both spaces where I have I've seen a scene, it's like clicked, like you just knew instantly how like the whole like how you wanted like the whole atmosphere to sound, and it's and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you need to force it, like you need to like force a certain kind of mood, and that's okay too, and you can do that again. I'm perfectly fine with deadlines, and so it is possible to force creativity. It's actually something that I advocate, because if you just sit back and wait for the creativity to come, it's gonna go like really long stretches before you actually have a decent before you actually have an output. That means that you will never have which means that you will very rarely have an output. Do you have any generous secrets for veteran chemistry working on again? I haven't actually. The problem with me is that I haven't actually worked on a VN before. I've tried to get to work on some project that never actually took off. But I think that you need to think much more traditionally when it comes to like composing music for VNs, instead of when you have like a normal like game, as the thing I talked about before, where like in other games you need to like think more about like atmosphere and stuff like that, where here you need to think more like in classical music terms, or not classical but in classic music terms.
All right, last question.
Okay. Okay, there's a lot of questions now.
All right, we'll handle those in Discord then, because we've got.
Okay, I'll take the last one. Okay.
All right, go for it.
Okay. I just want to answer LTP. The best way to ask for tracks from a composer, how to describe what you want, need, for example. No, I haven't answered this actually. So the best way is that really depends on who you're asking. Like me, I'm very like sometimes it could both be like when you show examples to people, it can actually both be bad and good. It's good because you give the composer like really like somewhat easy guidelines to follow, but it can also do some bad stuff for your creativity in general, because you feel like there are certain lines that you certainly need to like comply against, which maybe actually like, of course you I think most people would say, okay, but you don't need to make it like sound exactly like this, but it's okay if you make it a little bit different. But it's like you can make like in your own how you think it, but you still have it like in the back of your brain, this track that you got shown all the way through, and that can both be like good and bad.
All right. Well, thank you, and we will continue this on Discord.